What's up, guys, and welcome back to Days of Darkness, and welcome to my review of Wrong Turn. Now, this one came out in 2003, starring Desmond Harrington and Elijah Dushku, and was directed by Rob Schmidt. Schmidt? We're gonna go with that. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But anyways, so it's funny with this one. There are a couple movies that I'm pretty much excited to review everything because first of all, I just enjoy reviewing movies and talking about movies and being a fucking nerd. But there are a couple that I'm very hesitant to do, not because I feel like I can't talk about them or anything like that, but strictly because I know they're bad, but I love them so much. And this is one of those movies for me. Now, I don't necessarily think that this is a bad movie. I think this movie suffers from what a lot of slashers suffer from. And I think there is enough in this movie to save it. Again, I am not going to call this a fantastic film or anything like that. It is nowhere near the caliber of like The Thing or Halloween or fucking Hereditary or anything like that. I am not implying that. Do not get this impression. I fucking love this movie. And it's weird because I hear people talk shit on this one so much. Deservedly so. But then they turn around and they say that, Friday the 13th, like all of those movies are just fucking incredible. And it's like, I feel like the 80s gets a lot of pass from people because it was the 80s, and since this is the early 2000s, somehow it has the same expectations. Mind you, I always expect a movie to be good. If a movie's shit, I'll say it's shit. And while this movie does have its faults, I do not think it is a shit movie. I think this is better than Jason X, because at least this is fucking entertaining. But anyways, I'm going off on a big rant. I'm well aware that this series really does take a dip, especially after like 4. I mean, it takes a dip immediately because I think after this, I think Wrong Turn 2 was released in theaters as well, and then after that, it just went straight to home video. So that should tell you everything you need to know. But I have seen all these movies. I haven't seen the new one. I'm not really interested unless I can see it for free, because I've heard some pretty shitty things about that movie. Now, mind you as well, I am always one, I don't let other people's opinion influence mine. There are a couple very reputable people that I look to as far as their opinions on film, and sometimes I agree with them and sometimes I don't, but there is one pivotal thing about that new movie that I am not a fan of, that I got spoiled on, and I'm fine with it because I don't plan on watching it anytime soon. Fucking stupid. Anyways, we're here to talk about Wrong Turn 2003, so I think we should do that. Like I said, this is a guilty pleasure. I'm well aware this movie's not fantastic, and it's also not horrible. So yeah. Get some standard slasher stuff. The characters are very, very one-dimensional. I'll get into why in the spoiler section. But, they're not super offensive, poorly written, bad characters or anything like that. They're just kind of there, And I'm the type of guy who, in a slasher film, while yes, I love bloody and gory kills and all that shit, I want to feel something. I want to be able to have some emotional investment. Ooh, that's a new one. Emotional investment in my characters, and I feel like this one doesn't do a really good job of getting you emotionally invested. They attempt it, and I'm not gonna just say they didn't try at all, but especially with the main characters, there's just really nothing there. But again, you don't really go to a Wrong Turn movie for riveting character work and stuff like that. You go there for, the 3 hillbillies fucking slaughtering people, and that's what we get. And I fucking love it. But yeah, we get some fun kills in this, speaking of slaughter. We get some really cool kills in this. I'll obviously detail that in the kill of the film section. And yeah, overall, I absolutely recommend you watch this. I recommend you watch probably 1 and 2, and then after that, you could probably, if you're really crunched for time, just watch this one. The other ones uh, I enjoy for what they are, but especially those later ones, it gets fucking brutal. Like it just gets hard to watch, man. like, but that's the thing, though. And a little side note, I know some of you like when I tell stories about my own life on here, and with I know you guys like when I include like stories about my personal life with reviews. And Wrong Turn was a series of movies that me and my folks would watch. Like every time a new one would come out, like, oh my god, fucking a new Wrong Turn is out, and we knew they were bad. We knew they were schlocky fucking bullshit, but they were fun, you know, and they were fun, and I enjoyed watching my mom wince at all the fucking overly gory, bloody, fucking amazing kills that are in these movies. And yeah, man, this whole series is a really guilty pleasure for me, so it's hard for me to be like, oh, this is shit, and just be done with it, because it's not. Uh, some of the later ones are, but anyways, I'm rambling on this. I just really like this series, and I really like this fucking movie. But yeah, man. Anyways, we are going to go ahead and get into the spoiler section now, so without further ado, let's go ahead and spoil the shit out of this motherfucker. Alright, spoiler time, your ass has been warned. Now, let's just hop right into it here. I like the opening of this movie. It's pretty cool. We get two not overly revealing or overly bloody kills, but you immediately kind of understand the danger that lurks in these woods. We hear Three Fingers laugh. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. These two people are spelunking or rock climbing or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Always brings back good memories because I remember doing this with my dad. We would always just go to some random spot in the woods and probably where we shouldn't have been. Now that I'm like looking back on it, I remember hopping a few gates and shit like that, but it was always fun. So thankfully this didn't happen to us because I wouldn't be here talking to you guys. But anyways, so we get these two spelunkers or rock climbers or whatever the hell, and the guy gets up first, and his girlfriend's asking him to pull him up. He gets killed. She sees him get killed. Well, they like throw his body kind of halfway over the cliff. Some blood drips on her, and she's like, "What?" I'm like, "It's blood. Why are you wetting?" He's I don't know. It's a fucking total nitpick, but but no, she's like, "What is this?" I'm like, "It's blood, hun. Come on." But anyway, so he gets his dead body corpse gets fucking thrown over the cliff. You get a really cool shot of him, you know, getting thrown, and so she's. It's this really cool moment where like they're like pulling her up, and she's trying to like is the exact opposite of what she originally wanted, and so now someone's pulling her up, and she's trying to get down. And it's a really cool kind of contrast there. Really unique. I hadn't seen that up until this point in any slasher when I first saw this movie when I was fucking God knows how old. Too young to be watching horror movies. But I remember really liking that sequence of her trying to fucking cut the rope and all that shit. It was cool. And then she eventually just falls off the cliff. Gets hurt pretty bad, but then she gets hurt a lot worse because she's kind of limping to her car. The car is just in view, and then she is unfortunately tripped up by some barbed wire and drug away. And we hear a nice little splat sound. So she is very much dead along with her beloved. So and then we get the title card. We get a bunch of cool little news clippings of people going missing and the impact of inbreeding, which is what these villains are. Oh, damn. Gassy. I always get gassy when I fucking record these things. I don't know why. But anyways, maybe I'm nervous. But anyways. So, after that, we get introduced to our main protagonist, Chris. Who's just Chris, and he gets he's late to a meeting. It's later revealed that he's a doctor, and he's late to a meeting. He fucking, I think there's like a chemical spill on the road or something, so he has to go to this little gas station, and we get him kind of talking with this old fucking podunk hillbilly looking guy. Shout out to all my podunk hillbillies. That was not meant to be an insult whatsoever, but you know, embrace it. But yeah, so he ends up getting a map and some new directions, and it ends up being not the best way in the world to go. I can't remember the exact road he takes, but it's like Bear Road or something like that, some shit like that. So you know, I really like that that moment where we get an enunciated wrong turn. Like there's a fork in the road, and he ends up going the wrong fucking way. You know, it's good shit. And it's funny because none of the other movies in this series, to the best of my knowledge. Yeah, no, none of them. This whole series is obviously called Wrong Turn, and the original is the only movie with a wrong turn. Which I admire, because I don't think you should do the same fucking format constantly. The Friday the 13th movie kind of suffered from that, admittedly. So I'm glad they didn't do that. But anyways, we're talking about the first one. I'll get off of it. But yeah, so he ends up taking this wrong turn. His CD scratches up, which immediately dates this movie. I'm all for physical media, mind you. DVDs, Blu-rays, all fucking way too many of them. Years and years of collecting, all cool with it. But the CD thing, I was like, oh man, 2003. Like I don't recognize what he's listening to, but that scratches up. You think that's gonna cause him to get in a wreck, but he ends up fixing it only to look at some roadkill and like very stupidly like fucking look back, and like of course you're gonna get in a fucking wreck if you do that. As a new driver myself, I even know that. But yeah, man, he fucking collides with this other car, and we get introduced to all the other characters who are also stranded from some barbed wire that got strung up in the road, and they just immediately, they're like, you know, they're a lot less, or at least Scott is a lot less upset about the car getting totaled. It's Francine's car, or her mom's car. And so we get introduced to all these characters. Nothing is really said about them except Scott and Carly are newly engagers. I don't know what they're newly engaged. And that's it. And our other main protagonist, Jesse, played by the lovely Elijah Dushku, also gets no real development until like the final act. And even that's very minimal. So, you know, it's whatever. The characters are very blah in this movie. Like I said, there is some attempted character development with Carly and Scott, you know, and then when they inevitably perish, you get some, like, you know, it's a little like, aw, but Carly's a little bit annoying, so it's hard to, like, kind of really feel bad for her. She's the one who's constantly, like, they go to this fucking cabin, which is a great sequence when they're going through the cabin and they're progressively finding more and more fucked up shit in there. And so, but she's always the one, like, she fucking rings this, like, bell thing that they have on the porch. So why the fuck would you do that? We do not know these people at all. They're there to find a phone. Which I admire that this film actually goes that extra mile in giving them a reason to just be snooping throughout this whole place. There's a lot of them, they just kind of start looking. It's like, why are you looking in there? But, you know, at least there's a reason here. But anyways, moving on. And yeah, so from there, we get some really, really cool shit. Like I said, the characters are one-dimensional. There's not a lot to them. I love the sequence afterwards when they have to hide from the rednecks when they get into the cabin and they have to watch their friends, or well, I think not Evan. Evan got killed off screen. Very lame kill, by the way. You just see his ear on the ground and that's it. Whatever. But anyways, so we get some cool gore with Francine. She's getting cut up on the fucking on the table there, and they have to fucking hide from them, and they eventually just have to stay there until they fall asleep, which is like, holy shit. Like, I can't imagine just waiting in that smelly, fucking gross cabin, listening to your friend get cut up. And and they eat people, so they're preparing this woman to eventually cook and eat her. So that's, oh God, as annoying as she may be, Francine, that is, I still couldn't bear to listen to that. Woo. But but anyways, so eventually they fall asleep and they. It always kind of makes me laugh because they just get out of there and Chris has to hold the little wire thing, the wire door or whatever, the frame door, I don't know what you call it. But he has to hold that, it's cutting up his fucking hand, and you're like, oh God, that kind of sucks. But then he just looks over, and Sawtooth, which is the biggest of the three hillbillies, is just awake. He looks over at him, and Sawtooth is just like just looking at him like, bitch, are you serious? And yeah, we get a fun little chase. And from there we get some cool sequences. They just stop running when they get to like this there where they plant all the cars and shit. They just stop running and they're just looking around, and I'm like, run, they're after you. I get it, this is a lot to take in. These people have been killing people for years, and now you see all of this horrible shit. Like, there's a baby doll on the ground, implying that they kill and eat kids and babies and shit like that. So it's like, yeah, it's a lot to take in, but you gotta go. Like, now. But they don't, and they end up finding them, and then we get another cool little sequence. Chris gets shot in the leg, all that shit. And then Scott stupidly plays hero and distracts I'll distract them. Which never fucking works out. Or, sometimes it does, but not in this case. So they take the rednecks, or the hillbillies. I'll call them the hillbillies. I think they get a name. This family actually gets a name later on in the series. I think they're the Hillikers. So fuck it, we'll call them the Hillikers. They take the Hillikers truck and they fucking drive off, and Scott's like, I'll meet you on the road, implying he just knows where the road is, but whatever. I'm being a very nitpicky douchebag right now. It's comedy, people. Leave me alone. But he's just like in the beginning, he's just there, and then Sawtooth, who's a fucking whiz with that bow and arrow. Can we talk about that for a second? Holy shit, this guy is fucking fantastic with that bow and arrow. Fucking just immediately takes out Scott. You get one arrow to the back, and they just kind of see him stop. And they're like, what's wrong? And it's like, And then another one, you actually hear this one, which props to the sound design. There is some shitty sound design in this movie. Like, there's one conversation where, like, the sound of them, like, walking on the gravel road, like, far supersedes the voices. So it's like, they're... And then, like, you'll all you hear is that, and then, like, there's some pretty not important dialogue, but there's some, like, character building being attempted. You can't fucking hear any of it because it's just. But there's a couple moments like that. But when this movie wants to have good sound design, it does, but it should all the time. And yeah, from there, I feel like I'm just kind of falling into a plot rundown of this movie, which I'm not intending on doing, but this movie is very much so a just do one thing to get to the next point, to the next point, to the next point, to the next point, which is a fucking movie. But I don't know, there's just something about this that feels very not formulaic, but very, boom, boom, boom. All the sequences in this movie feel very distinct from each other, which is not necessarily a bad thing. They eventually, Carly's like delirious at this point, and they end up going into this warehouse, and she's like, at this point she's losing it because her fiance just got killed, which I understand, but it's like at that point you just get frustrated because she's like, hello, and it's like, yeah, just give away our location, whatever, idiot. But I get it, I would understand losing someone you love and you're just done at that point. It's understandable. But yeah, they get up into this watchtower. We get some really cool shit in there. Them trying to burn them out. Three Finger gets his fucking hands crushed by the door, and then they try to burn him out and get some really cool stuff in the trees. Carly gets killed by Three Finger, and we will talk about that later on. And yeah, and then so eventually we'll just wrap this one up. It's just Jesse and Chris now, and they somehow sleep, which I don't understand how that's possible. I would be, if I knew rednecks were out in the woods trying to find me and kill me and eat me, there would be no sleeping. None whatsoever. I would not be. It would be natural caffeination the entire time, which I don't know if caffeination is a word. It is now, motherfucker. But yeah, so they fall asleep, and another thing I have to give props to, I'm really, really glad that this movie did not have the two characters, kiss. That was a big habit with movies, is like, oh, there's a guy and a girl, and they're the only ones left. Even if they just met each other, and the only exposure they've had to one another is this fucking terrifying, horrifying, awful experience. Better make out. It's like, no, man. If I meet some chick as hot, hey, then don't get me wrong, Elijah Dushku, beautiful. I'll just leave it at that. But anyways, but it doesn't matter how hot someone is. No. I am not in the mood right now at all. At all. But but yeah, and I think I remember seeing a deleted scene of them actually kissing, and I'm really, really glad they left it out, because that just doesn't make any fucking sense. And that's the thing, like, people like to rag, yeah, my hair is terrible. I just can't get over it. Anyways, that's the thing, though, is that this movie gets ragged on a lot, and deservedly so. But they have some good shit in here, man. And as far as the filmmaking process is concerned, yeah, it's flawed for sure. But there are bright spots too, and I think that a movie like this, as noticeable as the bad things are, I think the good things deserve just as much credit. And yeah, but and yeah, oh, you're biased. Yeah, I know. Fuck you. But anyways, and yeah, so they end up waking up, and fucking Jesse gets kidnapped, and he has to go rescue her, get a really cool kill with a cop. That gets an arrow right through the fucking eye. I should be saving this for kill of the film. Sorry. But yeah, man, get a cool kill with the cop, and then we get him rescuing the damsel in distress, which she kind of seemed like a super strong, strong-willed character. So for her to just be in this damsel position is kind of jarring a little bit. But yeah, so she gets tied up, and One Eye's kind of fucking with her and like holding a knife to her throat and all this. You kind of get the impression that these guys aren't just doing this to survive. Like they enjoy doing this shit to people. Like they get off on it. They really, really do enjoy killing and eating people. Like, and there's wildlife in there. Like there's plenty of wildlife. It's shown with the dead deer and all that shit. They just like people. And that's all there is to it. You know? But anyways. So yeah, man. And I'll just talk about the Hillikers real quick while we're here. Fucking Stan Winston and his crew did an incredible job on the Hillikers, man. The Hillikers look fucking scary. Especially Three Finger, man. He's little, but he has this, like, his fucking ribs are all big and shit. And, like, they look fucking terrifying. Sawtooth is a massive motherfucker played by a former pro wrestler who is no longer with us. Rest in peace. And then One Eye. One Eye is probably the, I don't want to say most forgettable, because I love me some One Eye, but I mean, they all three look fucking great, but he's just, a little bulgy looking and doesn't have his eye. but yeah, man, they look fucking great in this movie, and it's a real shame of how butchered they got with the makeup effects in the later sequels. Even the second one, you can kind of notice it. It's like, oh, fuck, man. Like, that's not Three Finger, dude. That's, like, their heads get all fucking, like, big and shit. It just looks fucking dumb. I've always thought that. I love this series for, like, the gore and all that shit, but, like, I can't get past how bad the fucking special effects get. Like, it gets to the point where they're just looking like they're wearing Halloween masks. Like, it gets that bad. Sucks. But anyways, here they look really fucking cool. And he ends up killing One Eye by running into the cabin with the car. Kills. Well, actually, they don't kill any of them. Incapacitates One Eye because they're all still stirring. They get Three Finger down with a axe to the chest, and then Sawtooth gets an arrow in the back of his head, which looked fucking gnarly. He got that from Jessie, actually, because she broke free and did that, and so we get some cool fight choreography in here. I enjoy it. It's cool shit. And yeah, they blow up the fucking cabin with the shotgun, and happy ending. They go up to the gas station where he got the directions. They rip that fucking map off of the fucking thing, even though they killed them, so I'm not sure why they did that. But I think it was the last kind of fuck you to that guy. But which he ends up playing a pretty pivotal role in the later movies. But we'll maybe get to that someday. I'll review the other wrong turn movies as we go on. You can rest assured in that. I like these movies too much, and I think there's too much gold here for me not to. But we're not going to do a series review. They will be definitely spaced out. Which, yeah, speaking of spacing out series, we will talk about that at the end of the review. Because I think you guys are going to be pretty happy. Longtime Days of Darkness fans are going to be happy with what's coming up next. But anyways, so yeah, and then they ride off into the sunset. Some credits roll. Cop pulls up in the after credits scene, and Three Fingers still alive. Ooh. In this canon though, Sawtooth and One Eye are very much dead, which is a shame. And I kind of wish they would have just left it one and done and had Three Finger be, the last man standing. Maybe if you want to do a sequel later on or a prequel later on that's actually good, do it. But I don't know. I would have done this series way, way different than they ended up doing it. But, it's all good. I still love them no matter what. I have some really good memories, running up to Family Video and renting each one no matter how fucking shitty they got. But anyways, that's going to do it for the review portion of the review. Yeah, that's going to do it for the review portion of the video. But, goddamn, it's always at the key spots. But we still have to get into the blood, the guts, the gory bits. We gotta get into my kill of the film. Stick around. When discussing Wrong Turn, it has its hits and it has its misses, as we've already discussed. There are aspects of this movie that I really, really enjoy, and there are some aspects that not so much. However, one thing about this movie that I really, really like, and one thing that mostly all the films later on, I would say in some regards improve upon, and in other regards not so much, like this whole fucking series has been. But anyways, as I was saying, one thing that this movie does very, very well, in my own opinion, is the kills. I really, really like the kills in this movie. It's not a whole lot of stuff going on, and it's not the goriest fucking movie ever, which I don't always necessarily need. Not every, slasher needs to be an absolute gore fest. I enjoy that, but the kills in this movie are very, very brutal, and they're very straight and very to the point. There's not a lot of... They get very tortury later on in this series. I know I'm talking about the series so much that at this point I might as well just fucking do a series review. But in this one, it's very much so these guys are hunters. They enjoy doing this stuff. They really like killing and eating people, but when it comes to actually killing them, they're very efficient, and they don't really fuck around a whole lot, which I enjoy. I like that take on these killers. They could have very easily made them corny slashers and just, running up to people and killing them, but no, like I said, Sawtooth with that fucking bow and arrow, man. He gets two very, very bright moments in this that are they're incredible kills. Obviously, the one with Scott, as I previously mentioned, with him running up to the car and arrow number 1 in the back, arrow number 2 in the back, and to Scott's credit, he's still up and he's kind of, getting there. But then that third arrow just goes all the way through him, and Scott is done. And you get to see the 3 arrows sticking out of the back, which I couldn't ever fucking imagine doing that. Or not doing that. I couldn't imagine fucking killing someone with a bow and arrow either. but I also couldn't imagine that feeling of having a fucking, oh god, that just. But anyways. But yeah, we get that one. There's a cool kill as well for Sawtooth where the cop is just kind of talking to Chris. Chris is rambling because obviously he's just trying to get help, and he's like, people are dead, and the cop just goes, this is a podunk West Virginian cop, he's like, people? What people? And then fucking and he's done. Get some really cool gore there where they take the cop back to the cabin, and you see, I always like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre approach that this movie also kind of takes. It wouldn't surprise me if they actually took a little inspiration from that movie. But don't you worry, we will definitely be talking about that one at some point. But you don't necessarily see everything, which I really, really like. You don't necessarily see all of the blood and the guts. I like that from time to time. I'm all for a good head crush here and there or what have you. But I really, really enjoy that this one, it leaves stuff up to the imagination. When they're sawing through Francine's body on the table in the close to the beginning, you don't see anything, but you can hear them going through the meat and then the bone, and you hear all this splatter, and it's like, oh fuck, and you can just picture what's happening. And you get glimpses here and there of it. I think at one point you see the stump where her leg used to be and all that. So they do get a little more gory than a Texas Chainsaw would. But yeah, so when you see them kind of sawing through the cop's neck, and you just see a kind of panned out shot of his head just kind of floop, and it just kind of comes off of his body. It impacts more because you're not so used to just seeing people getting their heads get cut off in this movie. You're not used to seeing all of it. So whenever you do see anything, it has a greater impact. I'm getting a lot into my gore philosophy here, But anyways, I'm trying to think of the other ones. Really, speaking of Francine, really, really cool kill. We get a admittedly pretty lame kill with Evan, who he just disappears. And she finds his ear on the ground. You can tell it's his because he has those little fucking piercings, like right there and right there. And then Francine has razor wire, not barbed wire, fucking razor wire. So I think it's One Eye, I think who does it. And he grabs her and he just takes the razor wire and just like right in her fucking mouth. And you can see later on that he like took that shit and went like, so she's done by that point. But yeah, man, oh god, like I said, you don't see a lot of it. You know, you can see it in her mouth, and it's kind of a little shaky cam action going on. Not a big fan of that, but it's effective here because you can see what's happening, but you can't like see it fucking going throughout the mouth. And you know, as cool as that may have been, it's a it's much more effective to actually just think about what's happening. I've said that about 5 times, so we're gonna move on. But yeah, man, and then finally, in what I would consider to be the kill of the film, if you're keeping track, there's really not a whole lot left, except for the Hilliker's deaths. I mean, those are cool. Those are fine. Explodey kills really don't do it for me, though. I would have much preferred they get killed in a much more brutal fashion, especially for all the shit they did in the movie. Horrible, horrible actions done by these Hilliker boys. But easily the kill of the film goes to Carly, man. They're in the trees, they're having the balance, and she's too scared, she can't do it. And you're constantly frustrated with her throughout the movie because she just, I mean, and like I said, it's understandable, you know, it's a traumatizing situation, and everyone responds differently to it, but you're like, fucking come on. And she's like, she just backs up, she's like, fuck, I can't do this. And Three Finger, who is shown previously to be climbing the trees like a champ. Like, this dude's like a fucking monkey. Like, this dude is just rapidly climbing up these trees. Very oddly, too. Like, he's like fucking climbing he's sticking his legs up above his arms and fucking, it's cool shit, man. Really, really cool stunt work done there. And then he gets up there and he has an axe, and you just see her kind of backed up against this tree, and they're like way high up in the air here, and he just kind of peers out from behind her, takes the axe, boom, right in her fucking mouth. Oh, right in her mouth. She just sees him for 1 second, screams, and then bam. And you get a really cool shot of her eye, and it pans out. And as it's panning out, you hear a body falling. And when it pans out, it is just the top of her head on that axe. And then he like very bluntly just takes it out of the tree, and you know, the half of Carly's head goes falling down along with the rest of the her remains. I love this shit, man. But yeah, dude, really, really cool kill and a really cool movie. Like I said, I like it. I don't care. Some shitty parts to it, but I would absolutely recommend getting together with a bunch of people. Well, not right now. Maybe like watch it with your household member. God, I hate this fucking pandemic. Oh God, I hate this pandemic. But anyways, I would definitely recommend checking this one out, guys. Really, really cool shit. And that'll do it. Next time on Days of Darkness, like I said, for any longtime DoD fans, you're going to really like this. We are going to be continuing the Hellraiser series with Hellbound Hellraiser 2. Haven't watched that one in a very, very long time, so I am looking forward to it. And I hope you guys are too. With that being said, thank you guys as always for joining me. Thank you for supporting the channel. Stay safe out there. Take care of one another. And that'll do it. Alright, guys. Peace. Oh, and keep watching horror. Motherfucker.